All right, welcome. We're here for week one feature matches, Lord of the Rings League. After taking a league off from coverage for the partner league, we're back here. Mitch is going to be with me covering this league for the first 3 weeks, and we got John P here against Ryan D, the Slickness. So before we get into John's hand, what's Ryan holding over there?
Ryan's got 3 more planes in a swamp. A Shire Sheriff, which is the 2-drop that can exile something if you sack a token. Stalwarts of something or other. It's a 5-drop 4/3. The Torment of Golem was just drawn, but the last card in hand, we're already starting with the One Ring.
Wow, the One Ring.
Yep.
All right, that's a cool card. Maybe we'll get to see and talk about that one. John's got a very land heavy hand here. He's got Torment of Golem, so he'll see that ring among other things. He's got a Relentless Rohirrim as his only other non-land, which is the 4/3 that lets the ring tempt you. I mean, the One Ring is it can be rewarding, but also extremely punishing. Um, I haven't. I've seen the card draw a lot of cards, but it kills you quick. So, John says, let's just remove that from the equation, and we'll play a otherwise normal game here.
I'd definitely be playing it, good or not. I don't know, but I definitely have to play it.
Yeah, so as we can see, this is like very bad news for John here. This Torment of Golem's taking his only non-land, and he's drawn another land. So one thing I will mention, I mean, obviously everybody playing knows about the new rules here. At least for week one, we're gonna probably see the best week one decks we've ever seen in League, just because they're allowed to play 40 cards rather than the normal 60. So these decks are going to resemble normal sealed decks, but even more powerful because you get to still add cards as normal from a pack after your
finally
loss.
did it in our sealed league, and there's a thematic reason for making 40 card decks. We're all hobbits in week one.
Yeah, we're doing it the small way. So John's drawn a good one here, Fear Fire Foes, which we were discussing the woes of importing it into Arena before. Unfortunately, it's only going to take down one creature here. So not exactly how you always want to use it, but I guess it enables attacks with the 1/1s. So that's where we are right now. Yeah, so... yeah.
I always forget which cards have this the ring tempts you tacked on. I'm always surprised about, oh yeah, that has tempts you on it. That one has too. I think we're going to see Build a Pony come down here. There's a Grim Worm Tongue and a Swamp besides from what's...
yeah, they pushed the ring tempts you like pretty hard. They put it in they put it in all the colors like more or less evenly. So basically, no matter what kind of deck you end up with, you're going to have access to it, which I think they wanted because it is something that runs through thematically throughout everything. It is the ring.
The strange thing about that mechanic is, yeah, if you get your 5th, 6th, 7th ring tempts you get to change your ring bearer, but it doesn't actually do anything functionally more. So there's some critical amount when we're going to get to week 3, 4, 5 that maybe we don't want to include as much as possible.
Yeah, there are a few cards that pay you off for whenever the ring tempts you, but they're uncommons and rares. So you see them less, like Gandalf. The uncommon Gandalf lets you draw a card. The uncommon... I believe it's Faramir. He lets you make a 1/1 and so on. So, yeah, there are things that reward you, but once you get to 4, most decks don't have any reason to keep going here.
Yeah.
So this Build a Pony has been a really strong card. It's a good creature to carry the ring. It's a good creature to block other ring bearers. It gets in for 4 here. When you're stable, when you're not stable, it's 2 foods. Like, just a really strong one.
I haven't had the opportunity to play with it yet, but it does look very good.
Yeah, so John gets to make use of his card that's sometimes maybe a little narrow or hard to use, but we got Lobelia here who's going to exile the Shire Sheriff and make 2 treasures. So it's like a 2/3 flash menace that comes along with 2 treasures. So nothing...
of the stat line 2/3 is you can't do those blocks like a 1/3 can if your opponent's got a little 1/1. I find in this set the kind of how we look at big and small creatures has completely changed, because oftentimes you want to down a big creature to block, but it's not blocking a whole lot of the time if there's a ring bearer on the other side. So
yeah, the ring bearing has been really interesting because it's like you want to put it on like your 1/3s, your high toughness but low power. because you want as few things to block it as possible, but you also want it to have high toughness so it won't die in combat. So he's going to use Lash of the Balrog here on Lobillia. I mean, not a prime target for a removal spell, but it's a body that was in the way here. So he's going to
Finding
be able
Lash
to
of
get
the
it.
Balrog's been very useful because not only is there tons of artifacts to sack, there's tons of mini creatures because 1/1s are just fine in this set.
Yep, there's 1/1 tokens in white. There's Orc armies. There's things like Haunt of the Dead March, which you are very happy to put in your graveyard, and bring it back over and
Yeah.
over. So John's drawn just about pretty poor removal here than the Morgul Knife Wound. Um, it
Okay.
rarely does exactly as you want it to do, but I guess it's going to get rid of this Worm Tongue here.
Now the activation is to sack something to drain, I believe. Worm Tongue.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it kills a creature, but sometimes it just sits there like on your creature that does other things, and you could afford 2 life in order to use that creature for what you need it for. Any card that gives your opponents choices, it allows them to choose the thing that's least bad for them. So looks like I imagine this Grima is going to be getting exiled here.
I think so. The option is to sack to build a pony to drain. No, it's not even a drain. It's the opponent loses a life and you amass 2 if it's a legendary creature, which build a pony is. Kind of upgrades the attack power on board if you want to
Yeah, I mean,
activate.
Grima Wormtongue is a good body for ring bearing, but like the other abilities don't add up to something that's that useful very often. I mean, yeah, it'll blank food once in a while, and especially if your opponent hasn't caught on, like they sack a food and they don't realize it. You get the value, you get the surprise value there at least, but hasn't been a standout from what I've seen, but good enough for an include here.
I'm
So
now watching John's stream with you because it looks like Ryan's stream has died, so I
okay.
don't know what's going on.
It could be that he's like disconnected because he hasn't taken any game actions for a few moments here. So hopefully he's gonna get back in the game here. If he can't stream, we'll manage without a stream as long as he's able to play. So another thing I'll say is probably this week, or for mostly what I've seen, we're going to see people running 2 colors unless there's something really powerful to splash, like one of those gold rares or mythics. Because we got the 40 cards. When we're at 60 cards, it's really hard to make playables in week 1. Looks like John's stream has gone now.
Oh well, I guess we're just talking about the set in general. And speaking of that, I saw Sirkovitz, the guy behind 17 Lands. He posted a graph. The top performing cards are 50% uncommons and commons in this set, which usually that number is around 20. The top, I don't remember the number, but some number of cards, about 50% of them are commons and uncommons, where the number is usually 20 to 25% in a normal set.
Yeah, looks like John's back in the game here. Hopefully Ryan's going to be getting back in the game as well. Looks like he's still potentially disconnected here, unfortunately. But yeah, they really tempered the rares and mythics in this set. There are some powerful ones, but I'm finding myself first picking uncommons and even commons more than possibly almost any set I've drafted. Just a lot of the rares are just not that powerful, very niche, or just not good at all. So
Okay, I just looked up his tweet. Yeah, the top 10% of cards in terms of game in hand win rate, they are made up of 56% uncommons and commons,
okay.
where it's usually about 25%.
Maybe you
Yeah.
could send Ryan a message to make sure everything's still okay on his end, because it looks like
Will
he
do.
disconnected.
I will do.
Yeah, I mean, if he can't stream, that's fine. We just obviously we want his game to be up and running, and if streaming is going to hinder that, then
Oh,
we can function without his stream for sure.
stream is back on apparently.
Okay.
Uh,
Hopefully he's getting back into it. Unfortunate. All right, so he has decided to actually keep the worm tongue here. Maybe he figures I can get in for a couple of extra damage with the sacking. I could win like a turn or two earlier.
The top deck was great for that choice, which is a 3/3 and a 1/1 on one card. I forget the name of it because the stream died again.
It's the Protector of Gondor. But yeah, that card was going to win on this board state anyway, but he gets to win Not. I mean, I guess he goes. John goes to 5, and then he takes 5 just from the creatures in play. Unless he draws something, he has 2 lands
Yeah,
left in hand. So he's just got way too many lands going on here.
very mountainous.
And another land comes off the top, so it looks like this game is going to be all wrapped up, unfortunately, here. Just way too many lands. And that Torment of Golem that took the only non-land card, and then he kept drawing lands, was very, very poorly timed, obviously. And he's playing 16 lands, so he's got a couple of land cyclers. This seems to be a normal building in this format. If you end up with like 2 of those land cyclers, you cut 1 land, and then some people even go further down from there if they have mini partings or more land cyclers. But yeah, so 16 lands still got flooded there.
All right, confirmed. Ryan's not going to stream now. It crashed
Okay.
his game, so I'll be watching you on the. We'll be wondering together what Ryan has.
Yeah, so looking at John's deck, we see like you were saying, most of the cards in his deck are commons and uncommons. He has uh, 3 rares I can see, but none of them being like bombs. He has the Lobelia, and then on the 2-drop slot, he has Moria Marauder, which is that goblin that if it gets in, or if it or any goblin orc gets in, you get to play cards off the top of your library. And the Horn
Yeah,
of the Mark, which if you attack with 2 creatures, it lets you dig for more creatures. So they
it's
are
not
good,
the horn.
obviously, but they're not like you know they're not
It's
crazy
not the horn
games.
that no one wants to see ever, ever, ever. That
Oh,
other.
you speak of the Horn of Gondor.
No one wants to play against that. I don't know who has it. I'll find out the hard way at some point in
Yeah,
this
I had
week.
my first experience against that at the pre-release, and they played it, and I read it, and I was like, okay. And they already had another human in play, so the next turn they got to go up to 4 humans, which is a big difference. Like going like on the first time you activate it, if you're going to 4 humans instead of 2, like ugh. Anyway, luckily, at least for
No,
Ryan, John doesn't have access to that card.
no,
He's taking the
no.
mulligan here. Interesting that John has decided to bottom a rally at the Hornburg here. So what he's kept is this troll, which is going to get him a swamp. He has Smite the Deathless, which is a removal. He has Mordor Muster and Goblin Fireleaper. So a couple of 2-drop cards here to go along with his Swamp and Mountain. So he got rid of Rally at the Hornburg.
A whole lot of 2 drops basically was the
Yeah.
choice.
And now he's drawn that Fear, Fire, Foes once again. Try not to say that too many times fast. Um, yeah, and he's going to
Mm-hmm.
play his Mordor Muster here. I think John's basically hoping for Ryan to play a bunch of 1 toughness creatures. So this Fear Fire Foes, I haven't played with it much, but when it's played against me in draft, it usually takes out like at least 2 full cards. Uh, Call of the Ring. That is a powerful card
Mm-hmm.
that is very hard to interact with.
So
Lets
you're
you
telling me you have that and the One Ring.
It gets you tempted every single turn, and as long as you have a creature in play to carry your ring, you can opt to draw a card for the low cost of 2 life. So funny, we didn't mention it because we were talking about the rares in his deck, but John sideboarded in Cast into the Fire, perhaps not just functionally, but thematically as well. Perhaps.
For the One Ring, yeah. The way to deal with it.
Yeah, so Call of the Ring just gets out of hand really fast as long as you're not under siege. But you're less likely to be under siege because you're drawing cards and you're getting advantage from the ring, so you're able to loot away also. So this is looking pretty good here for Ryan. I mean, John does have 2 removals in his hand. He also has a 5-drop that we see. Um, that probably
Pretty
won't
good
come in play,
removal
but
for this
now he
kit.
gets to utilize his Fear Fire Foes here. It kills 3 creatures. Functionally, it's a 2-for-1. It's killed 2 full cards, but it does allow him to attack, and it does deny Ryan the extra card draw from the Call of the Ring this turn.
I wouldn't say he's completely under siege, but the Call of the Ring's a whole lot less easy to accept to pay the 2 life if you have no board. But here we are,
Well, you
reset with
need
2.
you need to have a creature in order to pay the 2 life.
Ah, I see what they did.
It says whenever a creature becomes your ring bearer or something like that.
I see.
Yeah, so if you can't just sit there with nothing in play. Um, and draw
Going as
cards.
well?
Yeah, whenever you choose a creature as your ring bearer. So
I see. Did he just deny the 2 life for a card? Looks like it.
I suppose so. I
Already
didn't look like he was that under siege. I mean, we know John basically has 2 5-drops he's not going to play for a while here, and he has a Smite the Deathless, which Might hit that Protector of Gondor if he sees fit, but that Protector of Gondor's getting in because he wants the looting from the ring. Yeah, the ring just causes such interesting lines of play. Um, I've had it, and my opponent have had it where we drew the card that we needed to like not die from that from that loot, from that one last loot.
I see.
One time, my opponent drew the exact card they needed to win, which was an improvised club, where they could have not won any other way. So
That happened to me yesterday, so we're both seen that.
yeah, so
There's a limit to that.
this ring it changes the way you play the game because you're attacking when when it might not be best to attack, or you're choosing which creature to put it on strategically. Ooh, here's a Gandalf, this powerful mythic that's coming in. It's just gonna block something here. John does have Smite the Deathless, so if he puts it in front of the 2/1, which looks like he will be able to pick off the Gandalf here.
Exiling it too,
So
for whatever
Gandalf
that's worth.
quite very powerful here. It lets you cast artifacts and legends with flash. So, but we won't be seeing that again in this game unless he has another copy.
Paying too late.
I think Ryan's looks like he's being conservative with his life total here. I'd always be tempted to just go for the card draw, but
Depends if he's got the creatures to block. It's risky. I don't know what he's got in hand. We don't have a stream.
yeah. So whenever John wants to block, he has a pretty good block with the Goblin Fire Leaper, especially if he doesn't draw cards he can cast. He at least has that. But with making two bodies here to block, I would have probably drawn the card this turn.
Two bodies is just what the doctor ordered for survivability here.
All right, so here's Horn of the Mark. Unfortunately, John doesn't really have a clean attack with more than one creature, so he's just not going to cast it. He's going to leave up his Fire Leaper so he can, block the Ring Bearer.
Fire Leaper is an interesting card when you're dealing with Tempted by the Ring, because you can make it unblockable and pump blocks.
Yeah, Call of the Ring, really difficult to interact with. Unlike other formats where you sometimes would tend to main deck cards that hit artifacts or enchantments, this set, not really.
Is
We
the
don't
white
really see those in the
3/1?
main deck.
Is the white 3/1 is basically
Yeah,
the same one.
the white 3/1 is the one. But even in green, like it's basically just a sideboard card. It's a Broken Wings that lets you scry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he's gonna get in front of the Ring Bearer here, and he's gonna take down another creature with him, unless Ryan has a trick of some kind here. Yeah,
Pretty
Fire
good for
Leaper,
two.
just really premium 2-drop. Just like, and the creatures there's so many X1s in this format. That card just comes into play and just sits there and is a problem. Whenever my opponent plays them, I'm like, I just have 2/1s in my hand. This is terrible.
Yeah, like I was saying, the benefit of making it a ring bearer and getting in for attacks pumping afterwards is also
Right.
something.
So he's going to save the Goth Mog here with a Shalob's Ambush to not die from the Fire Leaper trigger. And here comes Golem, Patient Plotter. That card's been really, really strong too. Just on its way out, it tempts you with the ring, and then it comes back for very cheap. So big threat
Yeah.
here. John's got his 5th line, which means he can start deploying his 5-drops. Unfortunately, they don't block the Ring Bearers. Like you were mentioning before, you play your 5/4, you're like, okay, I'm stable now. I played a big 5-drop. But not if your opponent has the ring.
Yeah, it messes with what we're used to with just putting down a big creature to block. It doesn't always do it.
Yeah, I mean, I do like how the ring turns, at least some of what we usually do in limited on its head.
Yeah. Well, you need to make the hobbits useful. They're 1/3s. They're epic characters that are 1/3s. How are you going to make it useful? It's a good idea for them to make it so they can attack well. They're
Just have
1/3s.
them sitting around eating your food. That's
Yeah.
that's what they do. Yeah, some of the uncommon ring bearer hobbits like Frodo, Baggins, or Bilbo, those cards have been extremely difficult to fight against.
There's several. Aren't there 2 of each? Or even a commander third one? Some of them.
Yeah, I was talking more about the uncommons, both of which focus
Yeah.
on the ring.
Yeah.
All right, so he's getting in the way here. He doesn't want to take lethal damage. So this Gothmog is lethal right now with the 4th level of the ring active. It's going to be hard for John to come back here. He can play one. He can play a 4/5 here. He'll be able to stay alive, but he'll have to chump the Gothmog, and then he'll have to. Well, that probably will be the only attack.
Food is pretty handy when you got Call of the Ring. Got a premium for
Yeah, he's got
for
Haunt of the Dead March in his Dead Marshes in his graveyard, which gets in front of the 3/3. But he does not have a legendary at this time. He has not found any ring cards whatsoever. And this Hobbit Sting is going to take out the War Beast.
does not create an extra creature
Funnily
because
enough, it makes the token now able to trade with the Gothmog, but not anymore now that he moved the ring over to the Reaper, which will allow him to attack for lethal. He'll get in for 5 with the Ring Bearer, and any other creature getting in will do it. So I hadn't mentioned until now, but John mentions on his podcast frequently that Ryan is his nemesis because Ryan holds a 9-2 advantage over him in league matches, and he's increased that to, or he's about to increase it to 10-2. So I only mentioned it once, but right at the end here. So congratulations to Ryan continuing his success against John and getting in the win column here in Lord of the Rings League. So we'll be back in a little bit for our second match of the night.